Alright, today we're going to talk about Spider-Man, specifically remastered.
Yeah,
Peter's face is different, and it's kind of weird. Not bad, but it's a little strange.
definitely off-putting for sure.
um, Still not entirely sure how I feel about it. The graphics obviously have greatly improved on the new model. Um,
Right.
there's like no fucking comparison. Like they have individual strands of hair rendered now. Um,
Yeah.
the lighting is better. The skin looks more realistic. Just everything about him looks more realistic now. It's just
Dude,
very
when
strange with a whole new face on a 2-year-old game.
when you sent me the picture of the new one, I was like, that's a real person. My
Yeah, I
brain
mean,
was so tricked into thinking that was a real person
the
and not a video
screenshot that
game.
I took of the comparison video was fucking unbelievable. I don't even
Yeah.
know. I had no idea it was possible to make that shit look that real. I mean, it looked like someone photoshopped Tom Holland into the comparison video because it looked that much like him. It was so strange. And
Yeah.
it's so like hyper realistic that it really does look like Photoshop. And
Oh yeah.
I'll have to put that screenshot that I took in here because that was fucking unbelievable. I could not believe that. I was like, wow.
It's fucking insane.
I really, I'm interested in seeing how much the other player models improved as well. Because I know
Yeah.
one of the complaints a lot of people had about the game originally was how much Mary Jane's player model had changed before and after development and stuff like that. Um,
I don't ever remember seeing her character model before the actual game release.
yeah, in the very early footage of the game that they had showed at one of the conventions, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but um, she looked slightly different. And then when the game came out, people were like, "Oh, she looks uglier now," and people were mad about it.
The fuck? She looked just fine in the game to me.
Yeah, I didn't really have an issue with her player model. I had noticed the small differences, but it wasn't anything that was like catastrophic.
Yeah.
Mostly it was just because the game, during development was probably running on much higher power hardware, which is the same thing
Hmm.
that happened with the puddle incident when the entire
God, that
world
was so
freaked
dumb.
out because the puddles were different in the game than they were in
So
the playable
stupid.
demo.
I remember that.
But the great thing about it is that the PS5 can handle those crazy reflective puddle graphics that we saw in the original playable demo. So it's
Yeah.
possible that basically everything in the fucking city when you play with ray tracing on is gonna look like that. And that to me is totally worth a second playthrough. Like,
Oh yeah.
I am playing that without a fucking doubt, probably for the channel, at least a little bit.
I don't see why not. Yeah, I know you already started a series, but why not just wait until the new version comes out and
Yeah,
play the whole thing through?
I mean, I had considered going back anyways, to
Yeah.
finally play more, but I just really like the new player models and the graphics, and we just read to double check that the community director of Insomniac Games confirmed there's going to be 3 new suits, one of which is Andrew Garfield's.
I fucking
Um,
love that suit from that suit got so much shit when the movie was coming out, but I fucking love it.
yeah, I mean, I never really hated Andrew Garfield's suit. Like, there were a lot of people that were really upset about it, and I
Yeah.
never really could understand why. I know it's not as bright and like colorful as we're used to with
Hmm.
Spider-Man, but I
I
really
remember people
the
saying
movie
that the
wasn't either,
material.
so
Yeah. Well, I remember people saying that it wasn't the right material and like they took away the webbing on the suit that Tobey Maguire had, and that there was way too much blue. But I don't know. I just never thought it looked that bad. I thought it looked really cool.
yeah,
I really
I'm
loved the
honestly excited to
really long
see.
spider.
I'm excited to see what it's gonna look like rendered into the game, like in motion, you know?
Oh, I
Because
think
we
it's
did get
gonna look
like a
great.
really good 4K screenshot, but you know those are always like doctored up a little, and
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what it's gonna look like in motion with like the ray tracing and the reflections and different lighting on different types of day, and I'm very interested in that.
I think it's gonna look great. I mean, the other suits already look great in the original version of the game, so I have no reason to doubt that it won't look great.
Yeah, I can already almost guarantee there's going to be a group of people that are going to recreate scenes from Amazing Spider-Man since the majority of the Spider-Man stuff in that movie happens at night.
Hell yeah.
I can almost guarantee people are going to recreate several scenes. And it's funny too because when the game first came out, and we had played it, uh, I had noticed every once in a while Yuri Lowenthal, when he would yell, sounded almost identical to Andrew Garfield. Like his voice was so close.
Yeah,
And now playing with that suit on, it's gonna trip me out.
I mean, the character model already looked a lot like Andrew Garfield,
Yeah, I mean,
so
dude,
it's
his
very
voice,
fitting.
some of the scenes where he's like yelling, you know, like really giving it his all, he
Yeah.
sounds a lot like Andrew Garfield.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
just, you know, he slips in and out of it. He doesn't sound like it the whole game, but it always made me laugh every time because I would be like, God, he sounds like him.
It was awesome.
Now, that being said, I don't want people to be misled. Tobey Maguire is my favorite version of Spider-Man. I know we're talking about Andrew Garfield a lot here. Um, but that was actually the suit that I wanted the most in the game was the Raimi suit.
Yeah.
Uh, but we already have that one, so now I can, you know, be greedy for other suits.
Well, what do you think the other two are going to be? You know,
um, I know there's a lot of other suits that were highly requested. I think they're gonna save the black suit for whenever they do something with the symbiote.
yeah, I
Um,
don't think they're just going to randomly put in the symbiote suit in the
I know
remaster.
that's like the highest requested one, other than the Amazing Spider-Man one.
Yeah.
But I really just I don't think they're gonna do it. They confirmed 3 skins, so I'm assuming it's going to be Amazing Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and something else.
Yeah.
Um, that seems like a pretty safe bet to me. But it's also possible that it's just the Amazing Spider-Man 1 skin, and then maybe both will be in the sequel or something like that.
Maybe.
But
I don't know. I think it'll be Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That seems like a pretty safe bet to me.
Yeah.
Um, but I really want to see some of the other like really famous suits, like the Alex Ross suit, um,
That'd be dope.
like the red and black. I would like to see Superior Spider-Man added.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, that's like one of my favorite looks for Spider-Man in the comics, so I
Such a
would
good
be
suit.
very happy to see that. Um, I mean, there's plenty of other versions of like you know, the Spider-Man costume. There's literally hundreds that
Oh,
they could
hell yeah.
add. I
So
would
many.
love to see a full version of the Fantastic Four suit,
Yeah.
like with the
With the full
mask.
mask.
I know the
Yeah.
Baghead's like, you know, really famous. People love it because it's funny,
Yeah.
but I
The full
always,
version would be so cool.
yeah, I always really liked the Fantastic Four stuff with Spider-Man. So
That'd be
I
awesome.
would like to see the full Fantastic Four suit. We probably won't get it, but
Probably not.
I just don't think there's enough people asking for Fantastic Four content.
No.
We already got the Future Foundation one, which is pretty much the universally preferred version of Spider-Man as a Fantastic Four member. So,
That is true.
but other than that, I don't really know. I mean, maybe different movie suits. Um, like
Other
I,
than the
the
ones that are
only other
in there, I don't
ones.
know about any other movie suits.
It would be really cool to get Tobey Maguire's homemade costume.
That'd be
Like
cool.
the human spider wrestling suit would be
Hmm.
great. I would love that. Because we have Tom Holland's homemade costume,
Right.
So, I mean, Andrew Garfield kind of had a homemade costume, but not really. It was just the mask
Well,
with a
his
hoodie.
wasn't Spider-Man yet. He was just wearing a mask with some sunglasses.
Yeah.
So I mean, they technically could put that in there because it's close enough to like the Night Monkey suit from Far From Home. So
Yeah, I
you
mean,
can get away with it.
it would be kind of cool to see it like with the hoodie and everything. Um,
Yeah.
but other than that, I don't really know uh, what they would add. There's so many different suits. I would like to kind of put all my chips in one place and think that it's gonna be all movie suits, but
Yeah.
probably not. I can almost guarantee at least one of them will be a comic book suit. But I also don't want to get my hopes up too high because there have
Yeah.
been times where they've added skins that are kind of ugly.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I think at this point they are kind of just doing it for fan service, to be honest. So we'll
Yeah.
probably get pretty famous suits. I don't think they're gonna add any suits that like literally nobody wants right now because the game's already been out so long. If they're gonna add random suits like that, I think they'll do it in the sequel.
Yeah. That is very possible.
I mean, other than that, really, just the graphics, man. Like, holy shit! It it's so insane to me to see like the real time reflections on everything, and they posted that one cutscene of Peter talking to Otto, and
Yeah.
it's so crazy to see like just a subtle change on the lighting and the draw distance for the scene, and
It's
it completely
fucking
transforms it.
it's insane. Yeah.
And I honestly can't wait to get my hands on that and play it on a 4K like high hertz monitor
Oh, that
and
shit's gonna be
really
insane.
just see it for what it is, because every time you see a YouTube video of anything, even if you watch it in 4K, it's going to be downscaled.
Yeah.
Um, and there's just nothing that they can do about that. But I want to see what it's gonna like play like. You know what I mean? Because they
Right.
showed performance mode gameplay, but not um, ray traced mode gameplay, which I thought was very interesting
Hmm.
because it is still improved graphics in the new player model and everything, but it runs at 60 frames per second and it doesn't look like it has ray tracing. Um,
I don't know. It's
and I
hard to
think
tell.
that's probably to save frame rate, obviously.
Yeah.
But the graphics enhanced mode, we haven't really seen much of other than that little clip,
Right.
which doesn't show a lot of very demanding stuff. So I'm curious, like, is the frame rate going to drop a lot when you're swinging at high speeds and there's a lot of reflections and stuff happening, or will it hold up? That's really what I'm looking forward
I
to seeing the most.
honestly, I think they showed that mainly to show off the new character model
Yeah,
beforehand so that people were ready for it. Because obviously, if they just dropped that without showing Peter's face, people would have been pissed.
I would love to see the little clip of when he puts on the Insomniac suit for the first time and
And he's like
runs
running
out in the new
around.
suit and he's like,
Yeah.
calling out to the people on the street and people are like, looking good. I would love to
Yeah.
see that scene done with all the ray tracing and everything. Like, I want to see
That would be
that
a great one.
because we'd get to see the suit up close and see the more detailed textures on it, the better lighting.
Yeah.
We'd get, some movement of him in the city to see what it'll look like. Um, Even just something that short, I would be excited for because I just want to see what that is gonna look like actually in motion because
Right.
one short cutscene is like you said they probably chose that just to show the player model,
Yeah.
but
That's what I'm assuming.
I really want to see what the ray tracing looks like at full scale just going.
Right.
Because if the once you get somewhat decent at maneuvering around the city, you're moving real damn fast, especially towards
Yeah.
the end of the game when you have all the upgrades and everything. I don't know if ray tracing is going to be able to handle that. I think it's going to suffer a little. I
Maybe.
hope not. Maybe with their new SSD, it'll process it fast enough to keep up with 30 frames per second, but I don't know. I just feel like, once you have all the upgrades and you're really fucking moving, I feel like it's gonna take a hit a little bit. Maybe not enough to really like fuck you up, but
Yeah, it might. Who knows? I think they'll end up showing off more of the game later on before release.
I
I
yeah,
don't
I,
think this
I
is the
think they'll
only
do
thing
it
we're
really
seeing
soon.
before.
It comes out in November. It's releasing
Yeah,
with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Um, and I mean, if Spider-Man Miles Morales is playable with ray tracing and even better graphics than Spider-Man Remastered, I would imagine
yeah,
Spider-Man Remastered will run fine.
I think
Um,
so. Yeah,
at the very least, the 4K 30 frames per second lock um, should run just fine.
yeah,
But that's another one that we need to talk about this episode is Miles Morales. Um, it
yeah.
looks so fucking good.
That game looks so fucking great.
The
I can't wait to
gameplay
play it.
that they showed is fucking amazing. I was so ready to play that game already. Like I just wanted to like pick up
Yeah,
my controller and control it while the video was going. Like it was
it
that.
really.
It just looked
Yeah,
so fun. I was like, let me take over, man. Come on.
I know. I mean, the first game was already incredibly fun, and it was just a great game all around, honestly. So, getting a game like it with Miles Morales as the main character is really fucking exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since Spider-Verse came out, but I really don't think Sony is using Miles as often as they should. And
Hmm.
I am so glad that they're giving him a game because it's such a genius way to space out the Spider-Man games because they're going to be lengthier. You need more time to develop them, so you can have these shorter stories with Miles and kind of show his progression throughout the time jump between Spider-Man 1 and 2. That way it's not so jarring when Spider-Man 2 comes out and he's Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I honestly think that because of the success of Spider-Verse is why we're going to be getting a lot more Miles content because that character was never really explored in the movies or anything like that. So now that they've made a very successful animated version of the character, and now that he's way more mainstream than he ever was before, I think we're going to be getting a lot more of his character.
Yeah. I hope so because I like Miles's character.
Yeah,
He's a really fun and young again Spider-Man. And
yeah,
I think they really are always struggling to kind of keep that childlike stuff with Peter in all the movies, which is, you know,
hmm,
probably a portion of the reason of why they keep rebooting him.
hmm, yeah,
um, because they want that young Spider-Man feel forever, and it's not possible with real
yeah,
life actors. And I really think that they could really do something special with something like what the PS4 games are doing. Like having Peter Parker, be allowed to age and
yeah,
become more and more mature, and then you have this young, fresh face with new powers. He's got a new background. He's more diverse. It's like a whole new playing field that they're not really touching in the movies yet, other than Spider Verse. So
right.
I'm really excited to see that dynamic throughout the Spider-Man games.
Yeah, I think that'll be fucking great.
I already liked the way they interacted a lot in Spider-Man, so I don't know. I'm really curious to see like if Peter Parker even shows up in Spider-Man Miles Morales. I would assume he does a little.
I
Um,
think he's gonna show up at
I know
least
it's
for a
not his
scene.
story, but
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll show up every once in a while. Maybe they'll do like a joke where he's like on vacation and that's why Miles is having to save the city by himself or something.
yeah,
But you know, I I really am excited because now what they can do with Miles's powers is when Spider-Man 2 comes out, we don't have to have those slow-paced stealth scenes anymore. Um, because now you have two Spider-Men to play with, one of which can turn invisible.
Yeah.
So you could bring a whole new dynamic to the stealth sequences that were in Spider-Man 1. So I'm curious
Honestly,
to
I
see
think
how
it would
that plays
be
out.
really cool if Spider-Man 2 comes out and you'd be able to like multiplayer that shit
That
with
would
one as
be
Peter and
amazing.
one as
Multiplayer free
Miles.
roam would be fantastic. I would love that.
That would be so cool.
I'm especially curious to see what suits they're going to add for Miles because
Yeah.
they haven't really done a lot of alternate suits for him in the comics. So I'm assuming they're going to.
Not that I know of.
Honestly, I hope Insomniac creates a suit for him like they did with Peter. Um,
Well, what about the one he's wearing in the trailer? Is that more just like a comic book version of his suit? I don't know how comic accurate it is. It looks
it's
like
very
Miles Morales,
yeah,
but
it's very comic accurate. It's
okay.
I mean there are some subtle differences, but not enough to really be like, well, that's like a whole different suit. Um,
Other than the new pre-order version, yeah, I don't know.
I can almost guarantee that the Spider-Verse suits are going to be added, like with the
Yeah,
Jordans and the jacket and everything.
I can pretty much guarantee that.
Other than that, I don't really know. Like, there's not really a lot of Miles content to go after, which is kind of
Maybe they'll
exciting,
just
to be
create
honest.
new suits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they have an open canvas right now that they can just
yeah.
do whatever they want with. Miles doesn't have that many alternate suits, and maybe if they're as well received as the Insomniac suit was for Peter, it'll make it into the comics like the Insomniac suit did.
That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Because I would like to see more cool original suits. We don't get a lot of those anymore. It's kind of just different renditions of the classic suits every time.
For
And
Spider-Man, yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
Miles Morales doesn't really change suits either, other than in the Spider-Verse movie.
yeah. And that's, I don't have that big of a problem with them, keeping the feel of Spider-Man, but a lot of those alternate suits are some of people's favorite storylines, and
Yeah,
it's really cool. Like they had the Ben Reilly suit in Spider-Man 1 and stuff like that. They had
true.
the Future Foundation suit, they had the spider armors. There's so many like creative things that they could do with Miles's suits, and he because he has so few suits, they have so much more room to play with.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
perhaps because it's intended to be a smaller story than Spider-Man 1, it won't really suffer from having a much smaller catalog of suits.
Yeah, maybe they're just not gonna do the giant catalog of suits like the last game did. Maybe they'll just do a few.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be like Spider-Man 1 where it'll get more over time, but I don't think
Yeah.
it'll ever be, as in depth as the Spider-Man 1 catalog. There's so many fucking suits in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just really like, how many suits does Insomniac have the time to fucking make?
Yeah.
But we got the anti-Ox suit, we got the Insomniac suit, and we got new-ish rendition of the classic suit. It's basically just the
From the beginning,
Amazing
yeah.
Spider-Man suit, but I'm
What do you mean?
interested in like the old school comics Amazing Spider-Man suit. Like,
Oh, okay. I was like, wow.
sorry, I know we were talking about Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, the classic suit. So maybe we'll have a couple new suits other than the pre-order version.
yeah, honestly, I hope they give him like maybe an anti-suit of some sort for
Of Tinkerer.
like the new form energy thing that they're talking about.
Yeah, like he has
That
to
would be
make
pretty
some-
cool. Like maybe he builds a suit that can absorb the new form energy so that it makes him stronger.
Does
kind
he
of-
make his own like tech in the comics? I don't know if he's tech savvy or not.
I mean, he's extremely smart, like Peter.
Oh yeah, I know he's smart. But I don't know if
I
he's
think he
technically
does
like.
because the Spider-Man of his universe is dead. So I don't
Yeah,
really know who would be making his tech for him if he didn't.
true.
I mean, he still has like his best friend and his roommate, which we have seen now in the gameplay trailer, which is pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
but I know
Well,
he's kind of
even
like Ned in the Tom Holland movies. He's like the guy in the chair.
yeah,
Uh, so maybe they'll use him for that to give him
well,
like more of a heavy-handed story in Miles's adventure.
even in the last game, Doc Ock made his super advanced suit. His uh, just the Insomniac suit that's the main suit of the game. Doc Ock made that,
Yeah,
but then Peter made his own anti-Ock suit at the end of the game. So
yeah. I'm
maybe
kind of
Miles will
curious.
have a guy he goes to, or maybe he's just gonna make his own stuff, or maybe Peter will make it for him.
That
They
would
could
be
do it
really
like
cool,
that.
actually, if towards the end of the game Peter makes him a new suit,
Yeah, at the end of the
and
game, that'd
and
be
that's
dope.
like the Insomniac version of the Miles suit.
Yeah,
That would be pretty cool. Maybe like before the final boss fight, he gets like a slightly armored version.
I don't think it's gonna be Tinkerer at the end of the game though, because I don't know. I just have this theory that the Tinkerer is basically gonna be the Mr. Negative from the last game, where they'll be for a while, but they're really just to hide the fact that the real main villain is a bigger character from the comics.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of.
Like, I'm pretty sure that. I mean, I'm not sure, but I think that the best way to go would probably be the Prowler if they're going to do that.
Yeah. I would love to see Insomniac's take on the Prowler, really.
Yeah,
Because after how well they handled, like, Doc Ock and Aunt May and all these people that were so close to Peter,
they
man,
could
I
do a
mean,
really great
seeing
story
Miles
with
find
that.
out that his uncle is the Prowler,
That would be
like,
so good.
Insomniac's take on that could be so fucking good.
They're really good, though. It'd be fucking amazing. Yeah, you could really set that up in, like, the beginning of the game and then the Prowler being the main villain of the whole thing.
I hope
For
so.
a first Miles Morales game with a strong villain, I don't know. I just have this very strong feeling they're gonna go with the Prowler.
Yeah. Other than that, I can't really think of anybody that would be heavy hitting enough.
I don't know enough of Miles Morales villains, honestly,
Yeah.
that are like really connected to him. Like even the Tinkerer isn't a Miles Morales villain; he's a Peter Parker villain. But they're just using her because Tinkerer is not really a big villain, so they could go either way with them.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, really, he shares most of Peter's villains. They're just alternate universe versions of him. So it's hard
Yeah,
to say because in this version, they're the same universe. So
yeah,
I don't really know how to go about that. Maybe that's why Tinkerer is a woman in this rendition. Maybe it's because they want to still bring some of that alternate universe kind of feel without it actually being an alternate
yeah.
universe.
Maybe they'll just use other versions of Peter's villains that are, smaller to put in his game, but not big enough to be in the main series yet, you know?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Green Goblin ain't gonna show up in this game or anything. That they'll save that for the sequel or something else.
Yeah.
He's not gonna show up in Miles Morales. Maybe Norman Osborn will, since she's running for, isn't it mayor? Isn't she running for mayor? His mom?
I think I didn't really get too good of a look at the campaign stuff. I'll have to double check. But
I think if she's running
um
for mayor, Norman Osborn has a very good chance of showing up in the game.
yeah, that's very true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Cuz I totally forgot that he's the mayor in that universe.
Yeah. And during the story, there is a re-election. So,
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a
yeah.
really strong theory. I would not be surprised at all if Norman is a smaller focus of the game. I definitely
Yeah.
don't think he's going to be Green Goblin yet. That
He's
seems
not
like
going to be Green Goblin, and I wouldn't even suspect that he's as big of a role he had in the last game, because, while he wasn't a straight-on supervillain, he was kind of he was both
he was a main
people's
antagonist.
reasons.
Yeah.
He was both the villain's reason for being villains, basically.
Yeah.
Both Mr. Negative and Doc Ock wanted to kill Norman Osborn for screwing them over. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a antagonist, but you might get maybe some hints at the Green Goblin or something along that line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious. Maybe they'll bring in villains that were referenced with Spider-Man 1 but weren't actually shown.
Like Lizard and Mysterio.
Yeah, I would love to see Mysterio.
That'd be cool.
Like,
oh yeah, I want to see their version of Mysterio so bad.
they have my hopes really fucking high with basically all of their villains now.
Dude, they did such a good job with every single one of their villains. Even if they didn't get that much time in the game, they were still great.
I was really impressed with how well they handled Mr. Negative, because that was a character that hadn't been adapted ever before. So
he was a character that I only heard of. I didn't know much about his comic book character, so they did a really good job with him.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally blown away by his whole like transition throughout the game, like into being a villain was just so awesome to watch.
Yeah. It was really great. The whole Sinister Six was handled very well.
Yeah, I mean,
and of course,
maybe they'll bring some of them back. I don't know how often they can really do the whole like everyone got out of the raft storyline. You know?
Yeah. I mean, they could do it for like a side mission or something, but I don't think they're gonna focus on it like they did in Spider-Man.
No.
Maybe a new version of the Sinister Six with smaller characters. They could try and do that. Because you need villains to fight. You need cannon fodder, basically, other than just street thugs and whatnot, as boss fights, you know? So, how any other way would that tie into the plot other than Sinister Six?
Yeah. I'm kind of curious to see what the villain choice is going to be. I mean, it's going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
Because they literally can pick anybody. So
they really could.
It's really hard to tell.
I think Prowler is a pretty good chance. Like you said, maybe some of the characters they referenced but didn't actually put in the game, like Lizard and Mysterio, and I think Scorpion. No, Scorpion was in the game. Who wasn't? They referenced Lizard and Mysterio.
They referenced Sandman.
Sandman.
He wasn't.
Maybe
used.
they'll have another Shocker mission or two. Maybe another mission with the Shocker.
It'd be kind of cool to see Electro get a hold of this like new form energy source.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe they'll have an Electro side mission where he gets a hold of some of it and it like doubles his power.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, I want to see more of their version of Electro. He was cool as fuck.
Yeah, I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll just see a lot of just random villains that like no one fucking cares about. Like, like the Tinkerer is one of those really small villains, and I mean they kind of toyed with him a little in the MCU now, so maybe they're just trying to think of stuff that's not overdone yet.
I wouldn't mind that. I mean, the Tinkerer seems like a pretty cool villain so far, and he's not really that great of a villain in the comics, so even if they did take smaller characters, I wouldn't be that upset about it. I mean, they could make them really cool versions.
It'd be kind of cool to see them bring in some of the bigger obscure characters, like Kraven and stuff like that. I would love to see an Insomniac version of Kraven. I know he's usually Peter Parker's villain, but
Yeah.
maybe they could do something where he's like, he's hunting the new Spider-Man kind of thing, because that's always been like one of his things is hunting Spider-Man. So maybe he'd be pissed off
Craven.
that now
Yeah.
there's two.
Craven would be cool. Obviously, if they put Craven in there, they could put Chameleon too, since they're brothers.
Oh yeah, I honestly didn't even think about that. But like I said, regardless, I'm buying that shit. As soon as I can get my hands on a fucking PlayStation. It'd be nice if they weren't so goddamn hard to get. But I'm definitely getting it. I'm gonna play Miles Morales. I'll play Spider-Man Remastered again. I don't care. I've
I'm
played
gonna
through
have to
Spider-Man
get.
like 4 times. I will definitely play the remastered version.
I'm just gonna have to get the PS4 version. But
It's
I'm
all
fine
right.
with it because I
That's all
just
right.
want to fucking.
Because you can come over and play the PS5 version, so we're
That is
good.
true.
All right, let us know in the comments what you think of Peter's new face. The whole internet seems to have an opinion on it, so I'm curious to see how people
True.
feel. Also, what suits do you think they'll add for Miles? Because I really don't know what else they could add for him.
But when we